A very Merry Christmas wherever in the world you are, my dear Kumekuchans. Let me just call you that. Kumekuchans are of course the well-loved followers of this YouTube channel. They are a very rare breed. They love their country to bits. They will never give up on their beautiful, beloved country called Kenya. Hata mambo ikiharibika namna gani, they remain true Kenyans. Kumekuchans are the wonderful people who have lifted up this channel, from a cold start to going now to 63,000 subscribers. And still climbing rapidly. Some of you have repeatedly said 63,000 subscribers is too few. This channel deserves 1 million subscribers. My response to that? Let the people decide. Meanwhile, yours faithfully, Chris Kumekucha, will do his best, will do his thing, without fear or favor, and without getting bribed. This, my friends, is a corruption-free channel. Now, for curiosity purposes, I'm sure many of you are wondering, what's Kumekucha doing for Christmas? So I'll tell you. The truth is, I'm lost. For many years, actually for a number of decades, my Christmas has been catching up on politics over nyama choma, soup, and all things Kenyan that go with Christmas. And I guess I can still do that. However, there's one very important ingredient that has been there for all those other decades that's missing. And that is my political lecturer. Guys, these are the times I really miss my political lecturer. This is the 7th Christmas without him, and things have never been the same. It has been difficult to adjust. I have not yet adjusted. My late political lecturer was not perfect. He was human. He had very many faults. But one thing he had is that he was principled. And I just feel very, very sad on this Christmas day that he did not live to see today's Kenya. A Kenya that is finally facing corruption head-on, and generally saying no to corruption and to being led by corrupt leaders. Of course, I know this has not moved into the voting stage, where before a Kenyan votes, they gauge the leader they're about to vote for in terms of corruption. But we're getting there. Slowly, but surely, we're getting there. The lectures of my political lecturer, if I can call them that, would have been much better received now. But I am also greatly consoled by the fact that his legacy lives on. It's very much alive on this channel. And you have to believe me, when I launched this channel, the farthest thing on my mind was furthering the legacy of my late dad, my political lecturer. And yet it should have been obvious. How do I discuss politics without the basics taught to me by my political lecturer? So I just found, almost by accident, I found that he was featuring more and more on this channel. And I believe that's a good thing. And there's a lesson of life to be learned there. Don't worry about your legacy, because all of us, one day, will have to leave this earth. The lesson is, don't even think about your legacy. All you need to do is do things that will stand the test of time. And your legacy will be guaranteed, because other people will highlight it, not even you. And even some of those people highlighting it may reluctantly do so, but they'll end up doing exactly that. Now on this Christmas day, I dedicate this particular video to all those Kumekuchans out there who are missing somebody important in their lives. That person may not be alive, or that person may be still alive but very far away from them as we celebrate this Christmas day. But that is much more than enough on my personal issues. So let's move on to what I do on this channel. Keep you abreast, keep you up to speed with what is happening in Kenya. Now, the big social news is the very ugly breakup between Lilian Muli, who's the Citizen TV anchor, well known, well loved, well liked, and her companion, Jared Neverton. Now, in my view, the breakup, even if you're celebrities, a breakup should be private. However, this Lilian Muli Jared Neverton breakup is very public. It's being played out on social media. Jared is, of course, the biological father of Lilian Muli's second child. And the dust has really not settled on this breakup, because when the dust settles, we'll clearly see exactly what happened and who booted who. Because right now, all we have are accusations and counter-accusations. And a lot of these accusations are contradicting what the other person is saying. However, Lilian Muli has taken this opportunity to introduce a brand new English phrase for Kenyans. And the phrase is community husband. Now, what does that even mean? Because it's a contradiction of the meaning of the word husband. The way most of us understand it. Because a husband belongs to one wife. He can never be the husband of a community. And even in a polygamous setup, a husband belongs to 2 women or 3 women. A husband can never be a community asset. If I can call him that. Never ever. What Lilian Muli actually means, with this new phrase she has introduced to us, very brand new, is that this husband is a husband of more women than he should be a husband to. Because you'll remember, even when Lilian Muli hooked up with Jared Neverton, and this was very controversial, it was widely known that the man was already married. And so Lilian Muli went into this relationship knowing very well that the man she was getting into a serious relationship with was already married. And so, what this Citizen TV anchor is telling us is that she has now discovered the man is a husband to more women than she had counted before. Oh boy, this is really messed up. But that is what it really is. Now, maybe let me correct a misconception, for the sake of our ladies out there. Let me correct something that has confused and landed a lot of women into trouble. And I'll use the example of people I know. And I know they take in this channel. And they'll have to excuse me because I'm not going to mention their names anyway. This Kenyan woman allowed her husband to marry a second wife. Why? Well, this was a reason. Huyu mtu atoshekangi. Sasa badala ya kwenda huko kwa malaya huko nje apate ugonjwa, afadhali aoe mke wa pili atosheke. Wanawake wawili lazima atatosheka. Loose translation, this man cannot be satisfied by one wife. He needs more than one woman in his life to be satisfied. And it is better for him to marry a second wife than to go out there to prostitutes and other loose women and come back with a disease. At least with 2 wives, he'll be sexually satisfied. And therefore, I will be safe from disease. Well, sadly, this woman found out she was wrong, very wrong. And here's the bad news, for all those women out there who think like this, and even men. A man who is not satisfied with his wife, one wife as it should be, will never be satisfied by 2. And he will never stop looking at other women just because he already has 2 under his roof. Or under his roofs. Because these women normally stay in separate houses. Not all the time. Because a few cases, they live under the same house. Don't ask me how that works. But that's what it really is. I have seen cases where men like this who are not satisfied, let me just call them that, rather than philanderers. I have seen cases where such men have been tamed by one woman. Not many, just one. They meet this woman, and that woman ends up being, as we say in Kenya, dawa yao. I think the correct translation is they end up being the antidote, to their serious problem, or their poison, the poison in their lives. Anyway, that's what it is. Now, personally, what I find very disturbing in our Kenyan society these days is this new thing, where it is okay, for a man to be a philanderer, to have many women, even if they are not official. Because in my view, it is not okay. Now, I know there are many cultures in Kenya that will not agree with me. The Maasai people, for example, will not agree with me. Many older members of the Abagusi community will not agree with me. Even my father's community, the Akamba, will not agree with me. Because interestingly, my grandfather had 2 wives. And my father had 2 wives. Anyway, on to the politics. Now, the big political news is a statement made by Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, where he said that those who are pushing for a referendum are daydreaming. He said, referring to the referendum crowd, that there are people who think Kenyans are idiots, that they will not see through the real reasons behind the push for a referendum to change our constitution. Now, I have to ask again, who advises the Deputy President? Who is the Deputy President's political advisor? I believe it is very instructive that before the handshake, I was asking the same question about the advisors of the President, Uhuru Kenyatta's advisors. And I believe it is very telling that I no longer need to ask that question. The President these days has excellent political advisors. Or is it one advisor? And now the person left with a huge problem as far as their political moves are concerned is the Deputy President, which can only lead us to one conclusion. It would seem that before the handshake, the chief advisor of the President was the Deputy President. And now it seems the Deputy President is his own political advisor. Now, please let's not get emotional about this. It is not personal. You see, politics is very serious business. Politics is not standard 7 elections for the class prefect. Politics is not even high school elections, for officials, maybe of the drama club or debating club or whatever. Politics, especially national politics, is extremely serious. It is not a joke. And here, we are not even talking about the qualities of the leader. Let's keep the qualities of the leader out of this particular debate. Especially because I can already see that comment even before it is written. Oh, Chris, we know you hate DP William Ruto. I don't. In fact, the main reason why I've brought this up is that I fear for his political future. If this is the kind of politics he's going to play, if these are the kind of political moves he's going to make, he's doomed. And that should be obvious. In politics, to succeed, you don't swim against the tide. It is much wiser to analyze the tide carefully and then very, very delicately direct the tide in a different direction that will move closer to where you want to go, rather than try to meet the tide head on. It won't work. You can't force water to stop and go back in a different direction. It's the same in politics. You can't. It doesn't work. It has never worked in history, and you can be sure it will never start working now. The referendum has very wide support across many Kenyans, right across the country. Why? Because it addresses some very serious issues that have nothing to do with Raila Odinga wanting to be president. And the main issue, which should be very clear, is this thing of violence and tension in the country every time we have to go into a general election that involves electing a president. The whole idea about a referendum is to change the structure of our leadership so that next time we have a presidential election, people don't have to fly out of the country with their family because they fear what will happen? Most Kenyans want that when we have the next presidential election, people will not have to close their business and move away from the Rift Valley back to their ancestral home just because there's an election. And there's something else that will always work against the deputy president. Now, I know some people on this channel are convinced that I'm a Raila Odinga stooge. They are sure Raila Odinga can do no wrong by my book. That's rubbish. There are videos I've produced on this channel that have made staunch Raila Odinga fanatics and followers very angry at me. Anyway, despite this, I'll still say what I was going to say. Whatever you think of Raila Odinga is a political juggernaut. There is no way you can take him head on, and expect that you'll get a lot of votes. No way. There are too many Kenyans, even if they were following you before, who will promptly and immediately switch off from you the minute you attack Raila Odinga personally. And it is not me who created this situation. This is the truth. This is what exactly the situation is in Kenyan politics today. And so it is common sense that if you want to fight Raila Odinga politically, you have to use other methods, not the direct one. However, DP William Ruto is a very experienced politician, and I'm not. So maybe he knows what he's doing. But in my humble view, as a very experienced political analyst, what the deputy president is doing, with the current strategy he's using, is just reducing his chances of ever being president of Kenya. Referendum or no referendum, he is just shooting himself in the foot. Anyway, this latest outburst by DP William Ruto has created a situation that is very precarious and very dangerous for the deputy president politically. What people are saying now is that the deputy president has shown very openly and very clearly that he is not with the president, and he is not with the Jubilee party, the very political party that sponsored his election into office as deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. Because the handshake has been sanctioned officially by the Jubilee party. It has been sanctioned officially by the President of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. And therefore, by openly contradicting what his party wants and what the president wants, can only result politically in one thing: DP William Ruto leaving Jubilee. DP William Ruto leaving the office of Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Because how can we have a government that is pulling in two different directions? Where you have two powerful people within that party pulling in opposite directions. How will that work? It will never work. And so, what these people are saying is that the deputy president needs to resign immediately. What he is saying about the handshake and what he is saying about the referendum will make much more sense when he's outside Jubilee. It will be in order when he's outside Jubilee for him to tell us he does not believe in a referendum. He does not believe in a handshake. And he does not believe in this key, very crucial, very important, very significant policy of the president and the Jubilee party. Now, I have no doubt on my mind that these calls for the resignation of the deputy president are going to gather momentum. It is just pure logic. When the deputy president of your house, which would be your wife, does not agree with what you are doing and your policies, then it is inevitable that a breakup is in the horizon. In fact, it's closer than being in the horizon. It is around the corner. How can two people go on a journey unless they agree? So the long and short of all this is that just by one simple public statement, the deputy president has put himself on the defensive as far as his position in the party is concerned, and even as far as his position as the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya is concerned. And maybe this is what he wants. And if it is true this is what he wants, then other statements he has made over the last few months will make sense. will begin to make sense. Because he has said several times, Raila Odinga working with Uhuru Kenyatta is a scheme, to kick him out of Jubilee. The same way Raila Odinga kicked him out of ODM, which is of course not true. But that's what the deputy president has been going around saying. So maybe this was a deliberate move to force people to kick him out of Jubilee. And of course, politically, when you are kicked out of somewhere, you gain a lot of political mileage. You gain a lot of political sympathy, which is very easy to turn into votes. If this is DP Ruto's strategy in this case, then well done, Mr. Deputy President. However, if it is not, then the only verdict we can give over this latest outburst is big blunder. Extremely big blunder. Political blunder. Hopefully, in the next few days and weeks, we will know for sure the end game or the strategy DP Ruto is using here. And then we will be able to analyze the chances of that particular strategy succeeding. Until next time, this is Kshs, Kumekucha.